and computers. These three skills help students become savvy information consumers. Combined with our last category, it also helps them become challenging, independent thinkers in the age of the internet. The third category of 21st century skill is called life skills. It's also sometimes called flips. These skills are the ones that students can use as they go through their lives dealing with technology in a variety of different ways, whether that be their personal smartphone or their workplace computer. These skills include flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills, all of which students are bound to use in their personal lives and their professional lives. All of these life skills help students for decades to come. When you combine them with the other 21st century skills, you get a well-rounded student who's able to discern accurate information in an age when there is so much data out there available. If you want to teach 21st century...
Okay, so that's the part where they start going into the advertisement where you don't really need that whole bit of it. So let's go back over here to my presentation. I am going to show you that clip one more time. Just from listening, did anybody get a bingo? I saw one person said they got a bingo. What words did you get a bingo with? It was pretty quick. If you get a chance, you can put it in the chat. I'd like to know what words made you get the bingo that quickly. Congratulations to all of you who got a bingo. Oh, a few of you got bingos. That's great. Okay, so let's look at some of these questions quickly. So which of the skills mentioned in the video are related to technology? Some of them, all of them, none of them, media for sure. Okay. Yeah, so there's a link to technology in all of these things. Social skills through social networking, critical thinking, through having to sift through and find reliable information, global awareness, because of the interconnectivity. You can access and send information from anywhere to anywhere. Creativity and innovation, right? And how can we incorporate the 21st century skills into our classrooms? I'll give you a chance to think more about this question in just a second. And we can share our ideas together. I see that there has been a WhatsApp group created. I can join that. I'm going to play the video again for you in just a second, and then I'll join the WhatsApp group. So yeah, I'm going to play it for you again. So, and think, how can we incorporate these 21st century skills into our classrooms? And how can we create that direct link to technology? Okay, so let's go back to my video again.
Have you heard the phrase 21st century skills lately? Does it seem weird that nobody ever takes the time to really explain what that means? I'm Chris Zook with AES, and today we're going to answer the question, what are 21st century skills? 21st century skills are 12 abilities that students need to succeed in the age of the internet. These 12 abilities are grouped into 3 different categories. In this video, we'll dive into each category in depth so that you know what people are talking about when they say the phrase 21st century skills. We'll start by talking about learning skills. The first 21st century skills category is called learning skills. These are also called the 4 C's. These skills all help students adapt and improve in the workplace. These skills include creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. All of them are skills that students can use later in life to adapt to any situation that they can encounter on the job. Our next 21st century skills category is called literacy skills. These are sometimes also called IMT skills, and they all deal with students reading and understanding information, especially the information that they find online. The first skill is information literacy. This means when a student reads something online that they understand what that is actually saying, whether it's a newspaper article or a blog from a source that they just found that day. The second skill is media literacy. That means understanding the sources that publish that information and whether those sources are reliable. Finally, there's also technology literacy. Technology literacy revolves around students understanding the machinery and the equipment that goes into publishing that kind of information. Online, that mostly revolves around servers and computers. These three skills help students become savvy information consumers. Combined with our last category, it also helps them become challenging, independent thinkers in the age of the internet. The third category of 21st century skilled is called life skills. It's also sometimes called flips. These skills are the ones that students can use as they go through their lives dealing with technology in a variety of different ways, whether that be their personal smartphone or their workplace computer. These skills include flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills, all of which students are bound to use in their personal lives and their professional lives. All of these life skills help students for decades to come. When you combine them with the other 21st century skills, you get a well-rounded student who's able to discern accurate information in an age when there is so much data out there available. If you want to teach 21st century skills to your students, AES.
Okay, so again, we don't need to hear him plug the company at the end. Okay, so how can we incorporate these 21st century skills into our classroom? For example, like leadership. I see one just came into the comment, but yeah, for something like leadership, how could we use technology in our classrooms to promote leadership? Yes, and to everybody who's asking if I can share the video and presentation, of course, I will join this group and I can share it to the contacts at RESC. We'll get you all of the information later, the video and the presentation for sure. So I see projects and more group-oriented activities. This can improve cooperation and communication. Okay, so that social activity with projects. And then how can we blend technology into that? Because we want to make sure that they are creative and understanding technology and using it in innovative ways. Oops, I'm sorry, my presentation went ahead a little bit. How can we relate this to technology and put it in our classrooms? Activity-based lessons, okay. I can understand how, like in a traditional classroom setting, we can do a project or an activity-based lesson or group work, but how can we specifically link it to technology? So we know students use technology. We know they're happy to use their phones. How can we use the tools at our disposal? Like when learning went offline and everybody's having to learn at a distance. If something like that were to happen again, how could we design lessons to use that to our advantage and still build 21st century skills? Okay, I see one suggestion to use Google Classroom to assign tasks, right? To start to use some kind of learning management system, education management programs that they have, like Schoolology or Google Classroom. I see another one, make them search the internet for information. Yeah, and then we have to also think about how to assess that information too, because you can certainly find a lot of information on the internet, but how do I know if I can trust that information? We'll talk about that later on in the presentation. What other ideas, like the one for leadership? How could we use technology in our classrooms to build a sense of leadership in our students? Any ideas? And to anybody participating through the WhatsApp group, again, I'll make sure that you get the information too. I can't see the chat going on right now in WhatsApp. But I will respond to if you have any questions or anything, all of your comments as well. Digital learning objects and projects. Okay. I will share with you later some websites that I have that can help, build leadership skills, or that can help them build storyboards and even more advanced technology projects for the students who are really keen on using the equipment. I've got another message here that says we can use video clips to explain lessons. And, and then maybe even have a kind of flipped classroom. I just have another comment come in just now. Yeah, so we can, rather than have the teacher go over the lesson and have them do their homework by themselves, we can flip it. We can have them learn from the video, and then we take questions and we do our processing and our homework together. I see another comment here, assigning a student a day to lead activities like sending task messages. This is a great one. So if you've got your learning management system like Google Classroom or Edtopia, you can have sort of a daily or monthly or weekly leader to kind of delegate responsibility. I also see group work in Zoom, the gaming systems like Kahoot. These are all excellent suggestions, and things like breakout rooms for small groups. Awesome. Okay, what about global awareness? We haven't really talked about that one. We've touched on all of the others. Global awareness, how could we have students build a sense of global awareness in our classrooms through technology? Mesh cultural understanding through reading, right? Maybe we can find videos or articles from diverse places, from places they might not be able to access on their own, and help them have an understanding, some sort of empathetic awareness of the world outside their immediate environment. I have another one that have them read the news, global, international news. Even compare news sources, say, listen to CNN, listen to BBC. How do they talk about something differently? Does one report on a story and one not report on different stories? So having them kind of use their critical thinking skills about the news. I see another one, making online maps and creating information about a topic, and they can collect all the information together. That's a great one. Selecting updated text in classroom activities. Excellent. So having the students actually go and select the text off the internet and say, let's learn about this next week, or let's learn about this next month. And having them create online mind maps and brainstorming. These are all excellent suggestions. And we'll have a chance to give a few more suggestions here in just a minute. So again, I'm glad we're thinking about how to bring these 21st century skills into the classroom and explicitly link it to technology. I see one more, social awareness through digital exhibitions. This is one thing that I loved that happened over COVID, was that there was such an explosion of like online museums and online cultural shows and online just exhibitions and artifacts. So you can go to a lot of major museums and major educational institutions like the Smithsonian, the National Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, even the Monterey Bay Aquarium in California. They all have like digital tours and live feeds. I can share some of these links later, but there's a lot of really vibrant ways to incorporate global awareness and bring the outside world to our classrooms with technology. We have one more suggestion, a global students forum. I love this idea of making like a global classroom, and we have students from all parts of the world exchanging ideas and learning from each other. These are all excellent suggestions. Virtual field trips, again, to any of the places I mentioned earlier, and I'll share those links with you later. Yeah, you can have a virtual field trip and even have the students lead the virtual field trip. Okay, so let's talk about a few different styles of blending of like online and digital learning that we can use as teachers to help make the handover, to help them have more ownership of their learning. So we want to blend our practice together with learning from technology. So blending learning involves learning face-to-face with your teacher and also at a distance, through the phone or through a video or through another online medium. So you get a mix of face-to-face, person-to-person, and technological mediated learning. And then also combining instructional technology with actual like job learning tasks. So you get that handover effect. So they become very used to working in a kind of synced environment, online and offline. And students, again, are very adept at this already. So combining this teaching through computers with traditional teaching is also referred to as reverse teaching, flip teaching, reverse instruction, or the backwards classroom. And there's a few different ways to do this. There's not only one way to integrate face-to-face and online learning. So there's sort of some subcategories here I want to look at. So online learning can be synchronous or asynchronous, which, as you know, means activities done during the physical class while the instructor teaches. For example, YouTube videos, learning on SoundCloud, listening together on an online practice exam. If you're doing it together with the instructor in the class, if you're doing sort of research together in class, it's synchronous. And asynchronous would be the students are outside the class doing something on their own, for example, making a video or writing a blog or doing some online research, or as someone mentioned a few minutes ago, reading various news sources and analyzing the quality of those news sources. So when we're planning virtual learning, and it certainly takes a lot of planning, one of our first questions is, how much do I want to be synchronous with me directly? And how much do I want to be asynchronous, where I give them some independence and freedom and trust that they can get the work done on their own? Probably something we have to build up to. You have to create that relationship, create a workflow with synchronous learning. And then as your students become more, as they take on more responsibility, gradually hand over to some asynchronous components. So we also have different kinds of online instruction. We could have blended instruction, hybrid, and online virtual instruction. So in blended learning, we're online and we're in the classroom. So we're aligning their activities. So we're sort of doing the same kind of things in person and the same kind of things online. And we would say maybe 30 to 70% is online. So mostly face-to-face usually. In hybrid, they're not necessarily coordinated learning. You might have all of your reading activities online and all of your speaking like face-to-face in class. So, you could sort of divide up the lessons and say, our grammar lessons are only on Google Classroom. And then our speaking or our listening activities we're going to do, in the, directly with me. So you don't have to do the same kinds of materials in these virtual learning environments. And on this one, it can also be about 30 to 70% of the class. And then we also have the option of having a complete 100% online class. So in this, you don't have to coordinate, some is face-to-face and some is online. You just know everything is online, which does require a lot of planning and a lot of management. But for some learners and some teachers, this could actually be a very productive setup. What do you think about blended and hybrid and online learning? Do you think any of them are as effective or more effective at building 21st century skills? Curious to know what you think. I do tend to like face-to-face instruction more. I won't lie. A lot of my activities work really well face-to-face, but I also like the challenge of having to adapt to online. And I love the opportunities that online brings where I can talk to someone in a place that I could never go in person. So I love the opportunity for connection that online learning brings. I see a comment here that we think blended learning is more effective. Be interested to know why or how you think it's more effective specifically with blended learning. What is it about blended learning that is so effective? Again, where it's aligned. I think it's this chat box, or you're saying, I'm trying to see the chat box. Is this better? You're saying some of it is covered by a gray box. Yeah, it's the little chat box for Zoom. I was trying to move it around. I hope that's better now. Okay, so some people think it's more effective. Okay, that was it. Yeah. Got a lot of windows here, so I'm trying to find the right place for all of my windows. Okay, so one person thinks blended learning is more effective, but again, there are a few different models. So although it takes a little bit of coordination before the class, you have a lot of freedom to work with digital literacy. Okay, so now let's do another task, another brainstorming task. So in this task, I'm going to ask you to create some activities for students using different tech tools. And I'd like you to share your ideas with the group, again, in the chat. And I'd like you to introduce the kind of tech tool that you're choosing, what kind of activity you think we could do with it, and then explain the benefits. So I'll give you an example in 1 second. I see also in the chat, it says, I have a message that says, blended learning gives the chance for students to sit in the live classroom and learn offline. And it's helpful for students to remember information because when you have it in writing and when you've got it to work on at home, you can sort of study it at your leisure. That's a great comment. Okay. So let's go to my little task here. So I've got, you can see here, I've got my language skills, grammar, speaking, writing, listening, and reading. And I'm wondering if you can, if we can use some of these ones here to create a grammar lesson. What would that look like? Or for example, some of these in the second category, can we use this one to create a speaking lesson? Or again, something like these collaboration tools. Could we use that to make a writing lesson? Can we use any of these blogs or video logs or podcasts to make a listening lesson? And could we make any sort of reading lesson with Socrative or Kahoot? And to anyone who's sending me the message, I will surely send you the presentation for sure later on. No, don't worry about that. So I'm interested to know your ideas. What kind of, like, for example, with Wikipedia, what kind of writing lesson could we do with Wikipedia? With something like Instagram or Facebook, what kind of speaking lesson could we use or come up with? I'll give you some ideas in a minute, but I'm curious to hear what you can think of. Give you a minute to share it. Or even if you've got a lesson idea that you've already used, incorporating Moodle or Flipgrid or Pinterest in your classroom, I'd love to hear about it. Okay, we've got Google Classrooms. You can share presentations and videos along with grammar. Good. Okay, so we could share a presentation and video, and we could have students sort of correct and point out and edit on Google Classroom. That's a sort of a peer review exercise as well. Padlet is good for writing as well as speaking because there's the recording options, absolutely. Yeah. We can have conferences and social media for sure. And again, it's the idea of knowing that the students are already using these. So how can we convince them to use it for learning? We know they're on it. We know they're using it. So if we can just convince them, to try to learn something from it too, or show them how you can learn from social media, then we unlock a whole new learning potential for them using the time that they already invest. That's the best part, is we know they're already doing it. We don't have to convince them. We've got other comments coming in about using Wikipedia to teach about description writings. I've actually got a suggestion for how to use Wikipedia. I'll share with you in a few minutes. We also have social media to share pictures and relate stories. Absolutely, there's so many speaking activities you can do with social media, and even just the pictures on people's phones. Students usually have a ton of pictures on their phones. So oftentimes, even if you can't get online in your classroom, if they have their phone, you can still do a speaking activity using, again, the device that they've already got in their pocket. Any other ideas of how we can use some of these? Let's see. We can give them classroom assignments to answer using these tools. Yeah. So again, using that blended or hybrid model where I might give you an assignment face-to-face and you do your homework online, or I just send you the link and I say, here's your assignment. Let me know if you need help. Padlet gives them a chance to share answers. Yeah. So yeah, they can sort of evaluate each other's answers as well. They can sort of learn to use their own critical thinking. Sorry. Yeah, I'm seeing the word walls. Yeah, there's a lot of these programs have ways that you can do like online brainstorming and word connectivity to help them, understand how to process and generate new ideas. Great. Some of you are using Kahoot. I would also, and again, I'll send you these links later, but if you don't know Socrative, it's a very interesting polling. So you can sort of create a live quiz, and it's very easy just to add instant questions and poll your students. Again, this link is very good and you'll get it in the presentation later. We can have them report on vlogs they see, asking students to do a web search and sort of create a profile about a specific topic or individual, right? Kind of do a deep dive, some deep research into a topic of their choice or something that we assign to them. Okay, so keep your ideas coming. I'm going to go ahead and move forward so we can have time for the questions in a few minutes. And yeah, some of these tools are not free and some free versions have limitations. It is true. So you'd be surprised what you can do with some of the free versions of them. I don't pay for any of the subscription versions either. So I just sort of manage with the free offerings, and you can still do quite a lot. But yes, unfortunately, there is a paywall with some of these, not all of them. Okay, so again, we've mentioned that there is so much digital content out there, and as a teacher, we have to think about, is it appropriate for me to use with my class? And then as a student, they have to think about, is this information trustworthy? So I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about evaluating online information. So when we are finding information online as teachers and thinking, can I use this? Should I use this in the classroom? Here are some questions we can ask. Who is the audience for? Is this meant for a specialist? Is this meant for young students? Is this meant for teenagers? Is this meant for like an internal audience? So is the material above their level, too easy, too hard? What is the objective? What's the goal and the mission of this writing? Does it have reference to other events and knowledge that's been validated already? Is it culturally appropriate? Is it engaging or motivating? Does it seem forced? Will the students think, she's just doing this to show us a video? And if you're just showing the video to show a video, maybe it's not as appropriate. Does it offer possibilities for differentiation? Can I turn this content into a speaking exercise, a kinesthetic exercise, a critical thinking exercise, a listening exercise? Are there any assessments that are already in the lesson that can help me know that it comes from an educational background, or to help students reflect about what they're reading? Is there a reflective component? And as somebody mentioned, do I have access to all of the materials, or do I need to adapt? A lot of the sites with paywalls, oftentimes I have to adapt the materials. So I might get an idea and then I find my own way to do it. So this is the world that we're living in. If you can't, because I know as a teacher, it's hard to always get the paid versions. So maybe we can take their idea and adapt it. So this is for teachers who are evaluating information for the classrooms. So now, as a student, what kind of questions can I think about to know whether my information is trustworthy? So I'm a student and I can find anything on the internet. How do I know what to trust? So I found my local library in the States has like 10 questions that you can ask when considering whether to trust online materials. So I want to share them with you now. So it's called, so you have like 10 questions to trust. I'm sorry. So first, just do a visual assessment. What is the quality of the website and the news article? There are some fake websites that have high quality interfaces, but a lot of times the lower quality they won't have as polished of a look to them. So that's one way that you can assess right off the bat. What is the news outlet? Is it well known? Is it trustworthy? Or is this some news outlet that nobody's ever heard of? Check the web domain. Different URLs might add something like lo or com.co to kind of look like a real news site, but it's not. Check the About Us to know about their background information, their contacts. Identify the author. If there's an author listed on there, then someone's willing to put their name literally on that article. So it's more likely to be real than something just published by an anonymous author. And again, I will share to all of you who are messaging me, I will share this in my information later. So more questions. What's the central message? Are they just trying to send information, or are they trying to make you believe something? Is it a persuasive article? Because news articles aren't supposed to be persuasive, they're just supposed to report. They can assess, spelling, grammar, punctuation. Usually a polished, reliable website will have polished, reliable formatting. Analyze the sources and the quotes. Do they quote other reliable sources? Find other articles. If CNN and BBC and other news reports and other news networks are reporting on it, it's probably more real than if only one is reporting on it. And also there are fact-checking websites that will check online news sources and tell you, oh, this fact is wrong, or this is based on misinformation. So you can look at the fact checkers. And again, to everyone who's sending me, I will share this with you. So a few questions to reflect on before I open up for questions. What are some of the challenges we may face when trying to use tech tools in the classroom? What challenges may students face as they meet this demanding world? And what are some ways to address these challenges? These aren't always questions that we can have an answer to, but they're definitely problems that we can work through together. I'm here. If you want to contact me with any problems, I'll do my best to try to help you brainstorm through them. And of course, feel free to still share questions or ideas in the chat. We'll have questions in just a minute. Final parts of this, I want to share that there are a lot of Facebook pages that have great resources for how to incorporate technology. So if you follow all of these pages on Facebook, they are constantly publishing high quality information that educators can use in the English classroom. So these are all just Facebook pages you can like and follow. There are also many online teaching platforms, vlogs, quiz outlets that you can use to bring digital literacy into your classroom. There's professional development websites that also have learning activities built in. Some of my favorite are this one in particular, PBS Learning Media. Here, I should do that in black, right? This right here, PBS Learning Media, and in National Geographic, Breaking News English here. I use this all the time. I think Madame Aruni Paris from the Embassy in Colombo, I think she was talking about americanenglish.state.gov. And also wikis. I like to have my students update a wiki about their hometown or update their favorite wiki, for example, about how to make bread. And the great thing about a wiki is that anybody can write and post links. So assign them to update a wiki with some reliable information. It's a fun assignment that students really get into. Okay, so here are some other resources for students, video websites, slideshows, picture annotation, and even for students who are really good with technology, there's some sites that are free, like the lamp.org, that allows them to play with more advanced media management. So that's the end of my presentation. And again, I will share that with you, but I'd love to have a few minutes now for any questions or comments, feedback, complaints. But thank you for being here with me today. I'm opening up the floor to any questions or feedback.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brittany. It is very informative session we had, and I'm Sewa, and I'm from RESC Bolavalan, and I'd like to ask you a question regarding flexibility. Right? I think it is a very challenging, I can say most challenging qualities to develop in our students.
Yes.
So can you give me some suggestions to how to incorporate them in our classrooms?
Right. So flexibility it's the great thing about technology is there's so many different ways that you can use it, and you'd be surprised what your students already know. I'm sorry. So I would say, like, give your students the opportunity to demonstrate their learning in a variety of ways. You know, maybe have them make a slideshow or an online video or a cartoon, or they can make a podcast. So you could have whatever topic you're trying to focus on or whatever skill they're trying to develop, but instead of prescribing the output that you want from them, say, this is the skill I want you to practice, and have them sort of create their own way to show you what they know. You might have them check, have them tell you their idea first so you can say yay or nay, but yeah, let them kind of show you what they can already do, and then they can learn from each other. Maybe put them in groups, like, oh, these are the people who did videos. Maybe they don't know how to do a podcast that well, but you can have them skill share and learn from each other, because really they're better teachers with technology than I am. So I would say, yeah, let them skill share together and let them have that, build that responsibility and that collaboration. That's a great question, though. Thank you, Suwandi.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brittany. Thank you again for the session.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure. Any other questions or hi.
Hello, thank you, Brittany, for your informative session. And we could learn a lot of new things from your session. And let me ask you a question. So actually, this is not a question.
Sure.
Could you please elaborate more on assessment tools for monitoring digital literacy skills related to ELT?
Right. So there's definitely some creativity that needs to come into the assessment of digital literacy skills, because we don't have a lot of standards. So maybe I definitely have the things that I'm looking for when I want someone to be building leadership or social skills or creative collaboration. I have my own checklist. But that's maybe something that you could set some standards with the students at the beginning and say, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for, that you can, use this tool effectively, or that you can distinguish, sort of real news from fake news. So it's something that you have to make explicit. And you have to make this agreement with their students so that they know what you're looking for and you know what you're looking for. So I would probably take, maybe 2 or 3 at a time, just say, collaboration, global awareness. What are 5 things that we could look at in global evaluation? And let's agree together, like maybe, you know, different vocabulary for talking about global issues, you know, an ability to explain, you know, one or two global topics. Whatever they are, I would, you know, come up with them collaboratively with the students and say, you know, this is what we're looking for when we're trying to build leadership. What are the qualities of leadership? And have them also do a lot of self-reflection, because we're trying to give them the tools. You know, we need them to keep assessing themselves even after the classroom. So we really want to build it in them, so that they're assessing their own learning and they're assessing information and not waiting for us to do it. So I would say it really needs to be a group process, because ultimately we're trying to hand them the keys and say, okay, you know. So yeah, I would say spend some time explicitly coming up with the standards and sharing that with them at the beginning. That's a great question. Yeah, thank you so much.
Miss Brittany, thank you so much for this wonderful session it was really an informative session. I'm Mithila from RESC Kurunegala, and I would like to ask you something like that. You've been talking about this blended learning, hybrid learning, and also the complete online sessions as well. So
Right.
I have a problem, like when we are shifting to such advanced teaching methods, approaches, what else can we as teachers have to collect as the teacher's role? Like we know our role when we are doing that in a very physical mode, but when we are shifting to that one, what else should be, adapted as the
Right.
teacher and teacher's role?
Right, that's a great question. So I think when we're shifting to blended and hybrid learning, it definitely, for me, it makes the planning time a lot longer. So like, because you're having to plan for them to be independent. So you have to sort of think everything that can go wrong, you know, and plan against that. And so what I end up doing is making like my online session, and then I try to turn it into an offline format. So for example, students with poor connectivity, they can download it as a PDF, you know, or I format it so that even if they're looking at a very small screen, it's scaled properly. So making sure that it's available in that comfortable format. And it requires a lot more prep beforehand, because then after you set the students free, you have to be available to troubleshoot, you know, because you don't have time then to kind of go back and look at the lesson. They should be going through the lesson step by step, hopefully without you having to hold their hand, but then there will be trouble. Somebody will have a question. So then you've got to be there to like guide them through. So for me, the teacher's role becomes much more of a planner, but and it's really hard at first because the students aren't used to it. You're not used to it. It's a completely foreign environment and completely foreign language, but it is one of those skills that you build, and then you get used to it and the students get used to it. And then then it's like running, and then you're just at your pace. And the students know what to do, and they come, oh, I've got a question with this. And then they can go and they can work on their own, and then they're only coming to you for questions. So you have to have that patience to get through the first little bit and to train the students how to do it. But then, you know, the more you give them the keys to their own learning, the easier your role becomes, because then you're just facilitating. That's a great question. I see another raised hand. Biraj, are you there? Hi.
I'm Brittany. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm Viraj from Kurunegala.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very much for the time you spent with us, with the
Sure.
teachers and the teacher trainers here. So that was really useful. I think you did a big task, something to be done in a day's time or 2 days time. So you did it very well within a very short time.
Right.
Thank you very much on behalf of all gathered here. This is of course not a question, but an invitation
Uh-huh.
to join the teachers and especially the teacher trainers here for our future work. That's of course, I don't think we can do it personally. For that, we should contact you through NIE, Ministry of Education or Provincial Department of Education. So if there's any possibility, please let us know how we can join you as a team. So I think that will be really, really helpful for the students here in Sri Lanka. Thank
Sure.
you.
No, I'd love that. And if you're interested in that, I would contact Madam Aruni she spoke yesterday through the American Embassy in Colombo. And if you don't have her contact, I can give it to you. Just send me a message. I'm going to put my email here in the chat, bgnau.elf@gmail.com. And if you're trying to sort of book my schedule, they manage my schedule. So you could reach out to Aruni and the US Embassy to sort of arrange my schedule. But if you also just have a question for me, or if anything like that, that's my email address on the screen right now. But yeah, I would love to come visit and plan future information workshops or work with the students and trainers in any way. It would be my absolute pleasure. Yeah. And again, this isn't really a topic that it's easy to tackle in one day's time. It's something that takes a long time to practice this. And it's something that, you might not be great at it at first, and that's okay. It's something to approach with a sense of humility. But I think, the students also understand and they will appreciate it. So I would say also give yourself some grace. Learning these new skills and learning how to use technology productively is not easy. So be kind to yourself while you're doing it, and just try to, approach the challenge with that kind of mindset. And I think you'll be surprised with what you can do. And thank you so much for having me again.
Okay, Miss Brittany, with the time frame, we think this is the end of the second plenary session. And thank you so much, ma'am, with the pile of immeasurable fact and the valuable points shared here to the betterment of the teachers of English to uplift every corner of the knowledge on the language teaching. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Next, I would like to invite for the RESC Workshop 3, which is going to be conducted by RESC Badulla. Now, the platform is yours.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the workshop conducted by RESC Badulla. Yes, the workshop will be conducted by the 4 RESC members, myself, Mr. Subasinghe, Mr. Rambupata, and Mrs. Amarasinghe.
Okay, Mr. Chandra. You have given the topic as ELT practitioners first-hand experience. What does that mean?
Yes, here the workshop is titled ELT Practitioners First-Hand Experience, Training Teachers in Conducting Activity Camps. Yes, that means actually we have to focus one area specifically. We all know that in Sri Lanka, we have a different context in which we find our teachers of English, they find different difficulties in teaching learning process. So we have device, one kind of activity to minimize this lacking in the students. That is actually to motivate the students in speaking, which is very much at a low level in the peripheral areas. So this workshop was actually conducted in the Badulla education zone.
Okay, so you have given a special name for that. What is it?
Yes, so the name itself will give you some kind of idea. So Star Kids. Star Kids means the kids are the focus, and we know that they are stars, and when they get the light, they will just shine in the sky. So in the sky is here the ELT arena.
Okay, so what is the structure? How do you run this program?
Yeah, structure means actually we have to go through few phases. At the first stage, we selected 5 trainers. That means actually they are the ones who are capable of delivering the stuff here. So they are the key teachers with a lot of abilities and skills. So we got together and then planned what to do in the teacher training program, which is the main focus in this program. And then we trained 40 teachers. These teachers were trained by these 5 special trainers with the help of the RESC staff, and it was for 2 days. And later on, these teachers are the resource persons in 30 camps. These 30 camps actually were held in 30 centers in the Badulla education zone. And in some centers, we had students from only one school. In some centers, we had 3 schools, maybe 4 schools, maybe 5 schools. So it depends.
So it's a cluster unit.
Yes. So that means, Ramak, we wanted to reach many students in almost all the schools in the zone.
So your ulterior motive was to focus more children.
Yes.
How many did you cater to these ones?
Yeah. So in one camp, we had 100 students, and 30 centers means 30 camps, and it is actually 3,000 students, grade 6, 7, and 8.
Okay, so can you please tell me how did this starting program run? In other words, what is the agenda that you follow?
Actually, we have divided this program into 4 phases. As usual, the phase 1, we have normal formalities, welcoming the visitors, registration, welcome song, camp oath and all that. Then phase 2, we have plenary session. So we can take the students out and they have to engage in physical activities, then grouping tasks. We have to group the students into 5 groups, then appointing group leaders, creating a group chair and all that. Then phase 3, actually have group activities. There the students can move on to their groups and engage in group activities. Then you have plenary session. Finally, phase 4, actually it's variety show. So the students have to perform their talents at this place.
That's how the program ran.
Yes.
Okay. So when it comes to people who have visited Chandana, can you please tell me who visited the program?
Visited these camps, usually they invited the secretary and zonal directors, deputy directors, and also the provincial coordinator English, zonal coordinator English, and also the RESC staff and the divisional ISS as well. Time to time, these officials they visited these camps and then motivated teachers plus students as well. You can see a few of these pictures, yes, here in some of the places and some of the activities we were doing.
So that's how it was going on. Nadir, can you please tell us now? These are some programs that you have.
Yes, now when we know about all the camps, it's better to start with a welcome song. You know, songs are really an enjoyable mode to create a stress-free environment and another homely environment also given to the participants. In this camp, regardless of their ability in handling the language. So in this instance, the welcome song, of course, we have been taken it from the YouTube. Can you just
That's the
play
first one.
sir? Yes.
Hi, hello, and do you?
Yeah, but the thing is, the resource team.
Excuse me, that's the one that you have taken from the YouTube.
Yes, we have
Okay.
taken this, but the thing is, we have taken the song, but the resource team have done some adaptations, which was
The same
done in
song.
a kind of an innovative method to create more interest
Can we see
to the
that?
game. Yes.
How do you do? We all you sing and play and learn new things each day. Hi, hello, and how do you do? We all welcome you. Learn and grow and make new friends, and fun will never end. Hi, hello, and how do you do? We all welcome you. This is where we sing and play and learn new things each day. Hi, hello, and how do you do? We all welcome you. Learn and grow and make new friends. The fun will never end.
Okay, Nadia, this is how you say now. The YouTube one you have adapted to be in an innovative way like this.
Yes.
It's very nice.
Yes, it is a fun way of doing things, and then we are giving the feeling to the students that they are going to enjoy. Yeah, the next plenary activity is another song, which is hello, how are you? Means this forms and we have to do this in a circle. The activity, of course, truly offers the participant an atmosphere where they can mingle with each other. So even the introverts are given an opportunity to take part in this activity. This can take about 20 minutes time. And of course, in doing this, we have to form an inner circle and outer circle facing each other and play the song and get the students to repeat the song. And then instruct them to turn around and move on to a new partner by facing, each other. They tend to get a new partner when they sing the last line.
You mean to say that there are two circles, one inner circle and one
Yes.
outer circle.
Yes, they have to move.
Mhm.
When they sing the last line, they have to move on to a new partner. So they can get the chance of getting this the development of the sense of intimacy is there.
So this is the one that what you have done in
Yes,
school.
yes.
Can you please that?
As you can see, they are moving from one to the other.
And they keep on moving.
Moving, yes.
So inner circle is not
Still,
moving.
yes.
The outer circle is
Is
moving and
moving.
they find a
New partner each
that
time.
was the next activity.
Yes.
Let us move on to the next one.
Yeah, the number game is another plenary activity which is very interesting. So in this one, we have to stand the students, ask them to stand in a circle. And the teacher, of course, the teacher is asking them to do some actions. And they have to the actions are numbered. Like, for an example, if we say clap, the teacher says, when I say number 1, you have to clap. And when I say number 2, you have to jump, like that. They have to remember the action with the number.
How many actions have you taken
Nearly 5 actions.
with 5 numbers?
Yes, if you take a lot of actions, that will be more confusing. So 5 actions are more suitable.
Depending on the situation. we can
Depending on the situation, yes, sir. And then we have to practice this to get the actions and the number to get it familiarized. And finally, the teacher asks, the teacher says only the number, then the students have to do the action. Of course, this builds up the confidence and practice the skill of listening.
Okay, that is the number game.
Yes.
Okay, then you were talking about group cheer channel. Can you explain it to us, please?
Yes, in the agenda, the program, we have lined up few activities, and this is one activity. The group cheer is actually, it's a kind of energizer. So it gives some kind of fun to the students, as well as they will just enjoy it in a different way. You know, this group cheer, they themselves create it. And once they create it, they use it then and there. For an example, when they just move from one group to the other group, that means one activity to the other activity. So they have to just go to another place. So while they are just walking there, they just use this group cheer. And here you can see how our trainers trained our teachers, right? So shall we just have a look?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's some technical issue is also here. So I'll just play it here. You can now see actually what it is and how it is going on, right?
We are strong.
We are connected. We are active. We are radiant.
We are the best.
Yes. So this is a kind of demonstration to the students. So actually, this was taken from the teacher training program, and these teachers will have the same kind of thing with some adaptation with the students. They will then create their own chair.
And this is the group that you were talking about.
Yes, yeah. These are the main key teachers we took for these programs.
And the next one is another plenary activity that deals with teacher exams. Can you explain that as well?
Yes, the teacher is absent is another plenary. In that sense, we have added a lot of plenaries as well, because to create a very active and a stress-free environment. So when you know that a teacher is absent, we also feel very free, isn't it?
Mm.
So
True, that's true.
yes. So the in this activity, what the students they do is they are seated in a circle, and one volunteer stands in the middle and requests the others to follow him. And before doing that, they have to name themselves. Now, for an example, we can call some names of objects to give the students the names of objects. For an example, we can say Ramuk sir is the pencil and Subir sir is the eraser. Like that, we can call out, give names for the students. And the volunteer is asking some of them to follow him. Like erasers follow me.
So all the erasers will follow the.
Yes, all the erasers are running behind the leader, and they have to run behind the circle and come back to their seats. Like this will you have to take turns in doing this, and one student suddenly informs that the teacher is coming. So then they have to quickly move on to their seats back, while one has to stand. And the next turn will go to that student.
The one who is standing.
Yes, who is standing. So in this one, this paves the way to use simple sentence structures and commands such as teacher is absent, shall we do a game, follow me, such as.
Okay, and thank you. And Sabina, can you add something more to this special activity?
Yes. So I can remember now when we take activities, we have to just go to different sources. And this was actually an activity introduced by one of our fellow RESC members way back in one of the conferences. And it was, as I remember, Kahawat and Kegol. Yeah, so they introduced the structure, the teacher has come. So there's a kind of little change here in the structure. We have adapted in another way around.
Yes, now Kahawat and Kegol, when they had it as teacher has come.
Yeah.
But you are using it as teacher is absent.
Yeah.
Can you just clarify that aspect?
Yeah, if I go back to this picture, you can see the teacher has come. But initially, the activity is started with the teacher is missing here, right? So that is one structure we thought of introducing and practicing.
Okay, Subhi, can you please explain the next one? That is musical hat.
Yes, musical hat is a grammar practice activity, and it's very interesting. And there we integrate the skills of speaking, reading, and writing here. It's about 30 minutes activity. And for this, we need a recording of music, the hat, and a sentence strips. Actually, we have to use the action verbs here. So we put them into a box and we get the students into a circle while the teacher is playing the music, the hat should be passed around. Then once the music is stopped, the student who has got the hat should come forward and select one of the verbs and do a miming. Suppose the child gets swim. So he has to show the action of swimming. Then the other students have to develop a sentence using the present continuous form. He is swimming. So likewise, 2-3 times we can play this around. Then finally, the teacher can ask the students to write the sentences that they practice.
It's an extended activity.
Yes,
Writing.
so they are the 3 skills, mainly speaking and then writing. Those skills are integrated.
That's how this activity moves on.
Yes, because music is also used. It's very enjoyable and the students will overcome the fear of using language. So that's an advantage.
Okay. Then can you please explain? We saw something in the agenda. It's something to deal with other songs. Can you please explain them as well? It's, Chandana?
Yes. So we have lined up many songs because songs are the mode of giving some kind of exposure to the language, especially the pronunciation, and also the listening skill is improved when we listen to songs. And these songs alone would not give something very, very interesting, but you have to add something more. And with the songs, the actions. So a lot of actions are introduced and they do the actions because they have to do something and then enjoy themselves, right? So here we find one activity, one song, tutti tata.
So you mean you have used the actions with the song?
Absolutely. So you know that the kids, they love to do actions, so they don't feel like learning something. It's a kind of chant, and this chant is actually taken from some other source, and then they have added some actions to that, and we have planned it in such a way in which we find the students are engaged and moving with the chant.
They become highly motivated on it.
Yeah. So let's have a look at one such
Yes,
chant here. Yeah. So yeah. So, yeah, that's the beauty of this chant. So they use their parts of the body and then different actions. They know that they can do it, and even the slowest one, who is very shy, he or she can do something, and then that is the kind of pleasure they can derive from this kind of activity.
So you create a stress-free environment in the program.
Yes. Actually, this is a girls' school, and they are a little shy, you know, that when they come to do some actions. But here you don't find that they're shy here. They are very much enjoying the
Even the two resource persons are, they are not shy at all.
Yeah, it should be. Otherwise, if they are shy, it is very difficult to have the activity in this kind of way.
Okay, then let us move on to the next activity. Back to Nadira. It says speech button. What does the visitor the special kind of button?
Yes, sir. The thing is, this is of course an activity that is involved in this program. It's not a plenary. This provides lot of exposure for general knowledge as well, apart from the language learning. So in this one, this is just a normal quiz, but the speech button is that the teacher has to draw or paste a speech button, in the sense that's a mouth. You have to draw it on the board or paste it on the board. And while the
So you
teacher...
call them mouth as the speech button?
Speech button, yes, sir. To create more competitive atmosphere there. Because normally when you are giving answers to the quizzes, you just, when the teacher asks you the question, you just give the answer. But here you have to compete with the other partner in the other row. And when the teacher asks the question, he'll say that we have to divide the class into 2 groups. And the first 2 students have to run to the board and then touch the mouth. And the first one to touch the mouth will get a chance of giving the answer. So,
So you mean the team is divided into 2
into
groups?
2 groups, and then the first 2 students, when I say the first 2, please come to this. Yes, they are in a row, and if we like, we can number them as well from 1 to 10. Yes, and call out number 1. Then all students from both groups, they have to run to the board and then touch the speech button. And the first one to touch it will get the chance of giving the answer.
Now you will be asking the question from the one who touches the speech button first.
Yes. So apart from language learning, we are focusing on giving them some
Sense of
competitiveness, and then worldly knowledge is to be given to them.
That is dealing with the speech button.
Yes.
Okay, so if I ask you another one, we found a list of items that are not listed, and we found one thing called police and thief.
Police and thieves is another grammar practice activity. There we focus past simple form. So the students are taken outside and we divide them into 2 groups. And they have to stand face to face. In between, we should draw a line. On this line, we place some items, some treasure like a bag, a bangle, a mobile phone, likewise. Then the students are advised, the teacher should give the instructions, the thieves to catch the police to catch the thieves. So they are in 2 lines. Once the teacher calls out a number, suppose number 2, then the thief should come forward and the police should try to catch the thief. If the thief grabs the item and runs to the time post, the group of thieves should call out, "We got a book. We got a bag," like this. So if the police is able to catch a thief, the police group should shout out, "We caught a thief, we caught a thief." So here the students will chant and they will practice simple past tense, and they will overcome the fear of using the language. So it's an advantage. And you can see some pictures of this activity. And the next activity you can see, lead in the blind. So here we have to divide the students into two groups, and the teacher should teach the instructions like move forward, turn right, turn left. Teacher can show the directions and students should practice. Then after practicing, teacher should blindfold one of the students from selecting from one of the groups, and the treasure should be placed at a distance, at a reachable place. Then what the students have to do, in groups, they have to guide the student to take the treasure. The boy who represents a particular group, those group members should give the instructions. Then the opponent team, they can give even the wrong instructions, or they can mislead the one who is searching for the treasure. So they will practice giving instructions. So it's a very interesting activity, and it's an outdoor activity.
That means to be what you say now. When you put them into two groups, the one who is going to find the treasure, that group, they should give correct instructions.
Yes, because
The other
they
group
will,
can give them, the other group can mislead them.
yes, even they can mislead. So if the child is able to take the treasure, they can have some kind of group cheer or some recognition.
Ah, thank you very much. So when it comes to next activity, that is with regard to the alien game. Nadira, can you please explain it to us?
Now, thank you for giving me the chance, sir. Can you just give me the meaning of dictation?
That is dictating a picture.
Yeah, definitely. That is a new word, of course. That is, pic means the picture, and dictation is the dictation. So we have to, it's an activity like we are looking at a picture and giving some clues about it. It's kind of a dictating thing.
You mean just like something like running dictation?
Running dictation, yes, definitely. So to do this activity, again, we have to divide the group again into 5 groups, and we need to paste a picture of a monster. Now, normally, students, they like these monsters and things because they are very much used to these cartoons and all on an outside wall in the classroom. And there should be one student who can draw well. So we can call him the artist of the group. And the others, of course, taking turns. When the teacher gives a signal, the others have to run out and then come and tell the instructions or tells the way that the picture is drawn out there. And according to the instruction, the student who is in the class have to draw the picture. And of course, the teacher can get an idea of the knowledge of students, and then the students can improve their speaking ability and giving instructions. All these things are there. And all the students are given an equal opportunity to contribute in speaking.
Can I ask one question
Yes,
before we move on? You said they'll be working in groups of 5.
yes,
So initially we had 100 students.
Yes.
They are in 5 groups.
in 5 groups.
So you take
Again,
one group and you put them into smaller
yes,
groups.
yes.
They are the ones who are
Suppose
working
that
for-
we have 20 students in one group.
Mhm.
So you have to divide them back into groups of 4.
They are the ones who are.
Yes, so a lot of opportunity is given because the groups are smaller. And this involves the competency of speaking.
That is what you are referring to as alien
Yes,
empathy.
yes.
Okay, then there are some more songs as you said, mentioned. So we can see here it says Music Man. What is it, Jonathan?
Yeah, so it's very difficult to find music man all the time. You know that the male population is very less, but here, these teachers they just act as a music man, and then they act out along the song, right? So the music man is a song, and they have to do some actions again, and with the students they will do it very nicely always. And here we experienced and we witnessed how the students enjoyed it by doing actions plus speaking out some phrases. So that is important to hear something, maybe a native kind of accent. At the same time, they are doing the action and also they are speaking some of the phrases. So they get some kind of exposure to those kind of.
Can I ask another
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
Initially, you said there were 5 teachers. You trained them. They are the ones that we can see.
Yes.
And the others, you said another 40 was trained.
Yeah, these are
The others.
the other teachers. And these teachers, they are the ones who worked in those 30 camps. So usually we had 5 resource persons in one camp, and they have to do the activities in 5 groups. And usually, as Sube mentioned, in the second phase, they have the plenary activities, and then the third phase, they have the group activities. Again, the third phase, we have fourth phase, the variety show and the plenary.
Can we see this as well?
Okay, let us move on to this as well.
Can you play? Piano, 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 piano. I'm the musician. I come from far away and I can play. What can you play? I play the violin. Violin, violin, violin. Violin, violin. Piano, 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 piano. Piano, piano. I'm the music man. I come from far away and I can play. What can you play? I play the saxophone. Saxophone, 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 saxophone. Violin, 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 violin. Piano, 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 piano. I'm the music man. I come from far away and I can play. What can you play? I play the big bass drum. Big bass drum, big bass drum, big bass drum, big bass drum, big bass drum. Saxophone, saxophone.
So you used it for the training as well. And we saw a list of songs. Can you explain this as well?
Ramsam is another song, and it's a kind of activity again. With the song, the students are just enjoying the actions plus singing the song in a tune. So these are the plenary activities. You know that in a camp we have to do some activities to break the monotony as well as to give them some kind of fun. So this is a fun element.
Can we see that as well?
Okay, let's see. Okay, give me 1 minute. Those are just coming, right? Yep. Right. So you can see the song here, and let's play it.
So this is also a song where you can motivate the children a lot. So we can see how they are involved in it.
Yeah, everybody, each and every student, they just enjoy doing some actions, and also they just utter some words and phrases. So that is a kind of important thing, because they have the kind of feeling that you know, that the sense of achievement is also there. So we did it like thing.
So they don't feel shy to perform.
Never.
So they don't.
Yeah. So they have now come to the culture, camp culture. They know that these are the things we have to do. We can enjoy and we can learn things and all. So they are in the correct track now.
So if I ask another question, how many camps have you done like this?
Yeah, 30 camps already we have completed. So that means 100 into 30, 3,000 students. Yeah.
I would say. Okay, Chandan. Then when it comes to the songs, these are some pictures that you have taken. Can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, here we have different songs, different activities. The camp song is very popular. I know that it is everywhere. You can find that song when you go to any school in Sri Lanka, right? And welcome song. So that is something the Badula song we have found and added something. Not only Badula, the others also have done the same thing, but we have added something more, right? And also this is a kind of an awareness to all of us, and how we did. This is a kind of a sharing what we have experienced and what we have witnessed. We are just informing you all that these items, these activities can be taken to motivate our students in the schools to work in English, do something in English, speak in English. So the welcome song, camp songs, and also goodbye song is coming later. And specifically, we have to mention that there's another activity that is the craft. Craft means we are just using and That is the psychomotor skill. And not only they are just speaking, they are listening, they are using their hands and do something, create something new. So
the picture that is.
You can see the first picture. It is the picture of the craft. They have prepared a kind of bookmark here, and you can create some animals. This is the kind of origami. Yes, we can have more shapes like this.
So this is a collection of pictures that you have done.
Yeah. So different activities, different activities. And to move
And
on.
when it comes to we saw in the agenda,
Yes.
there was another one known as variety show.
Yeah, very special variety show. So this is a freer kind of activity for students. What is the concept here? Variety show means a kind of session for the students to perform in front of the others. So each and every student will go to one group and then they will perform in some way. And we know that they have to have the preparation. For that, we are going to give 30 minutes.
You give 30 minutes to
Prepare.
So that means after all these activities, you give them 30 minutes to prepare for the variety.
Yeah, so you can just give them 30 minutes and okay, now you get prepared. We can't just say, we have to just monitor and help the students what they are going to do. And then we have to just guide them in the proper way. This is your activity. You are going to sing a song. This is your activity. You are going to do a kind of drama, miming maybe. So anything. In some schools, we found that they had already prepared a kind of variety show. So with some kind of arrangements with the costumes and all. In some schools, it was actually very spontaneous. It came just with the activities they were doing in the session.
So that equally okay.
Yeah. So I feel that once they just do it,
Much more better.
yeah, because they will create something new, as well as they will feel that they are doing it in the way they want.
So input you have given in songs, poems, these are the things.
Yeah, so you can add many things here, but we have used these activities.
Okay, then so how long does this run for?
30 to 45 minutes. Sometimes it can just go up to 1 hour.
Okay, then what about these invitation cards, badges and things?
Yeah.
Can we have an idea on that as well?
Yeah, our teachers are actually very, very creative. You know that with the help of the students, they are just creating. Why it is very important. These are the things created by the students with the help of the teachers. So that means they will get the other things like organization skills, creativity, and the new concepts.
The combination of
Lot of things. I'll show you a few of the badges and some of the other creations by the students here. These are the badges used in different camps.
So here you get a collection of different, all these things have the shape of a star.
Yeah, so that is the theme actually, star. And these are very low cost, very low cost. So yeah, waste materials you can see here. They sometimes they use some glitter papers as well, and but most of the time they are using some waste materials as
So they are
well.
recycling the things as well.
Yeah, and also you can see some different kinds of invitations.
Boxes,
Yeah, those are the thrown away cardboards. They have used that to make a box to put the refreshment, that is meal, right? A kind of a piece of cake or banana. So this is how they offer. Yeah, so the new thing, and this is also you can see this recycled kind of materials.
Recycled materials.
And have a look at these invitations and the kind of decorations and all. And these aspects are also very important, I suppose.
Okay, when it comes to the next one, there are some more, I think, invitation cards and things.
Yeah, here are very different shapes. You can find different ways of creating invitation cards.
Invitation cards.
Yeah, so you can see how the teachers are doing in the schools and how the students are contributing.
Each and every card shows a uniqueness there.
Yeah. And they are keeping the concept as well.
Yes.
So these are good ideas for all of us to be cascaded to the next generation, actually. So
Very nice. It's also this we have used some little techniques. It's really nice.
Yeah, that is very creative. These items were used to welcome the guests and the people who visit them as well.
So this gave us some kind of insight of the whole event you have run. So there is the concept is starting, and you have done it in 30 centers and catered more than 3,000 students. And how did you end the program?
Yeah, ending is also very enjoyable. You can see here another song to end, that is the goodbye song. And let us just listen and say goodbye to all the participants here in the conference. And after this, we'll have the question and answer session or comments. So that is open to you as well. So let's listen to this.
That's the goodbye song. Yeah. So with this song, you end the camp.
We end the camp, and also we are going to end the session for the day as well. So I should thank all the participants here for listening to us, and then now their chance to ask any questions if they have. If we are able to answer these questions, we will be answering them virtually. So it's up to you now to ask any question if you have.
Thank you so much, RESC Badulla, for the wonderful and fruitful workshop conducted at the virtual conference 2022. With that, we are going to end the morning session of the day 2 of the conference. See you all at 2 p.m. after the lunch break. Enjoy the lunch.